Hey, good morning to you and happy Monday. We are live here at CTTC and where are we? We are in Lebanon, Tennessee, which is not too far from Nashville. Matter of fact, I flew into Nashville last night and I don't know what was going on yesterday, but Detroit Airport and Nashville were both insane. So I was like, is this a national holiday that I've missed? Because apparently many people were flying. But grab your cup of coffee this morning. I'm so excited to just share something with you that I found in the Word. And it comes right from Matthew 18. And, as prayer people, so we know no revival in history has ever begun apart from prayer. And so as prayer people, we love to quote this verse out of Matthew 18 and 19. So listen to this, okay? Again, I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything you ask for, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where two or three come together in my name, there I am with them. And so it requires how many? Two in agreement. And so at Enkindle, we currently are having these calls, these prayer calls. We call them linked prayer calls, and they're every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, and then Sunday morning at 8 a.m. And they are just really inspirational, honestly. And it's really cool because there's literally no distance in the spirit. And so it's so fun to get on these calls and really cry out for our cities and cry out for our nation and to cry out for the Church of America. And so I always say on these calls, we're not trying to build this massive prayer call with 100 people or 500 people, but what we want to do is have two. Our goal is to have at least two people on each call in agreement, because where there's two, it's a kingdom party, right? So if there's two people in agreement, according to Matthew 18:19, we have a kingdom party, which is awesome. But what's really fascinating about this is I really want to talk to you about the word agree. And actually that word agree, so it says, I tell you that if two of you on earth agree, okay, so that word agree about anything you ask for. The word agree is this really cool Greek word, okay? And the Greek word is symphonio. Symphonio, that's the Greek word. So symphonio is where we get our English word. Anybody? Symphonio. What English word do y'all think that is? Let me read you the definition. So symphonio means to be harmonious, to come into agreement together. Okay, so symphonio is where we get our English word. Drum roll, please. Symphony. Right? And so I equate this so much to a marriage. Like as a marital therapist, I've often said, which actually I'm not a marital therapist, but I do like this much marriage therapy when people really beg me, because I, to be honest, don't love it. But I do other kinds of therapy. But anyways, we have this marriage, okay? And so we have the two become one flesh, right? Well, there's either dissonance in that or there's harmony when those two people come together. This word is so similar. It's not representing a marriage. However, the symphonio is agreement. And so when you come together in prayer, it's very important that there's agreement, not external agreement so much like we hold hands and pray together, but internal agreement in our heart. And so I literally come into agreement with you in prayer. Makes sense? And so what I want you to see out of this passage, so oftentimes when we go to a verse, we just go to this one verse, right? But we got to look at the context. So when I was studying this verse, I actually looked up, boink, 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 4 verses above it, and it talks about a brother who sins against you. And Jesus is really proving this point home about the symphonio, because this is what he says. If your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault just between the two of you. If he listens to you, you have won your brother over. But if he will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, treat him as you would a pagan or tax collector. Okay, so Jesus is talking about how to handle disunity, right? So in verses 15 through 17, Jesus is really talking about this is how you handle disunity, okay? Fact number 1, I want you to keep that in mind. Fact number 2, Jesus defines the power and authority of the church. So what he says is, I tell you the truth, whatever you bind on heaven will be bound on earth, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. So stick with me, okay? So fact number 1, he talks about how to deal with conflict or to deal with a brother who sins against you. Fact number 2, Jesus expresses the power and authority of the church. What we bind on earth is bound in heaven. What we loose on earth is loosed in heaven, okay? Fact number 3 is our verse. Again, I tell you, if you agree about anything you ask for, anything, it will be done for you by my Father. For where there are 2 or 3 together in my name, there I am in the midst. So what is Jesus saying here in conclusion? Well, what he's saying here is unity is so important. And the reason he goes into such detail about what to do if a brother sins against you is because when disunity comes, it literally renders the power and authority of a church ineffective. Why? Because we have to be in symphony, right? So Christ is the head of the body. He's the conductor. We're all looking to him as all these body parts. And we as a church come together in agreement. And so I'm studying this whole thing going, why does Jesus talk about a brother who sins? Everyone say hi to Allie. Oh, hi, Allie. Hey, no, I want to say hi. Here with the students, Allie's here. So why would Jesus talk about this is the importance of how to deal with disunity? Because he's driving this point home. Hey, as the church, you literally have power and authority to bind on earth and it's bound in heaven, and loose on earth and it's loosed in heaven. However, there has to be symphony. And so one of the greatest traps of the church is this disunity. And I don't know about you, but I often read scriptures and go, man, like I've never seen that modeled. Like I've never seen the brother who sins against you. I've never done it myself. So as I'm saying it, never done it myself or seen it modeled from a biblical perspective. So I read all this stuff in the word and go like, are we as the church operating in this? I don't know. That's just my vantage point. I don't know what your vantage point is, but I'm telling you, the unity, the symphony is so important. And if we don't operate in that, we literally have lost our power and authority. Why? Because Jesus says it. If 2 of you on earth agree, symphony, about anything you ask for, it will be done by my Father in heaven. So I challenge you today, 1, to come into kingdom thinking. It only takes 2 or 3 to come into agreement. And while you're in that kingdom thinking, to come together and to really, I charge you and challenge you as the church to remain in unity with a brother and to handle it from a biblical perspective. And so Jesus is saying to the church, no, we're not just throwing someone out because they've been dealt with in a 3-step disciple or discipline process. We're not just throwing them out like we can't stand you, get out of here. But we can't risk to have disunity in our body, because when we have disunity in our body, there's no symphony happening. And if there's no symphony happening, we've lost our power and authority. And so for you as prayer people, this is so important to keep that guard over your heart. So I bless you today. I honor you. I challenge you to greater heights of prayer, power, and authority and unity. And be blessed today. I love you guys. We'll see you soon.